listen, never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Get on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There is absolutely no human being on the planet I'd rather be talking to than Daniel Bard. Because you know why? It's the year anniversary. It's the annual. There's not a lot of things that we do on an annual basis, but I am making this clear. Let it be said, let it be done. Every time Thanksgiving rolls around, I'm going to track down Daniel Bard because you are the epitome of someone who we should say, this is why we are thankful for you. This is why you are thankful for baseball. There's just a lot of thanks going on. So I don't know. That's my intro. That's my intro.
It's a good reminder that I need to be more thankful. So
no,
I appreciate it. Man. Thanks for having me.
That way. I meant I think that with baseball, and baseball is just part of it. I'm thankful to know you first of all, and for your message and just the person that you are. Earmuffs if you don't want to listen to this, but I just, the fact is that, when I was covering you and, I really love talking to people, but I love talking in this world of baseball, talking to interesting people who have a great perspective. And you did that from day one, ever since you were imitating batting stances in Fort Myers in 2009. So, yeah.
You remember that? That's good.
Oh, I think it's documented forever on YouTube.
I hope so. I need to find that one.
A batting stance. I forget who you were imitating. It's like I vividly remember you because batting stance guy in one of these biting off more than I could chew. I flew batting stance guy across the country, Gar Rhinus, middle seat, 3-stop, Spirit Airlines, put him up in the shadiest motel in Fort Myers so he could come over to the Red Sox complex to imitate batting stances for you guys. And it worked out.
That guy's awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah,
I think he's still doing it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think I follow him, and he was just a good person too.
Oh, such a good person. But I remember you. I can't remember if you did it in front of him, but I remember you imitating a batting stance. So
probably a Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah,
that was kind of I think that was my go-to. I kind of imitated it growing up. Yeah, when I raked as a hitter. Yeah, that was a long time ago, man.
It was. Well, anyway, I just wanted to say, that may have been the beginning, but certainly it's continued to everything that's good in the world of life in baseball. So that said, as we sit here, I've been throughout this year, since we've done this podcast, it's going on 3 years, and I look at baseball in terms of how it really impacts in so many ways, and the way that baseball sort of forms life. I just finished a podcast with Dominic Leon. I was just telling you this, and we're talking about retirement, and we'll get to sort of your life after retirement this year. But I'm always interested in when guys retire, about how they do it, what their feelings is, how you pull the cord and everything else. And he went on for about 5 minutes talking about how impactful your story was. So, and then he went on to explain himself, like his own thing about how he threw a pitch and he knew right then and there that was it. But it was just like all of it as he's talking. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's just part of it. But really, like the whole baseball world, everything about baseball, including retirement, is just so impactful on so many facets of life. So I know I'm ranting and raving and rambling. I don't care. But I will just say this, is that for you, if I said to you, Daniel, what is the part of your life that's baseball's impacted the most? That's a heavy question.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Um, it's changed through the years, you know. I mean, I've grown up with baseball. It's been part of my life as long as I can remember. So, you know, I think baseball teaches you a lot of lessons as a kid. You know, it's a game of failure. I failed a lot, you know. I was just talking to my dad a couple days ago because I was talking about my kids and they have kind of varied interests. They're not that into baseball. And he was like, you know, you weren't that into baseball at 8, 9 years old. He's like, you liked it, but he said you weren't, you know, die hard. You liked watching baseball, but he goes, I had to kind of, hey, you want to go hit? No, I'm good. Are you sure? You know, and then we'd end up going to hit, and I'd have a great time. So, sorry, I got speaking of kids,
It's all
shut a
good.
door, shut a door there. But yeah, then you grow up and it becomes your job. I was, you know, very lucky to say that, and it continues to teach you lessons. It continues to challenge you in new ways. You never perfect it. It's a daily battle, and I think that's kind of life, you know. That's parenting. That's being in a marriage. You know, you kind of wake up every day and you go, okay, what do I need to do today to be the best fill in the blank that I can be? Um, and it doesn't always go the way you want it, you know. And sometimes you have days where, as a parent or whatever your job is, or a spouse or a pitcher, where you're like, man, that was terrible, you know.
Mm.
And it's gonna happen. It happens to everybody. And it's how do you wake up the next day with a fresh mindset, learn from it, and be the best that day. And you just do that hundreds and hundreds and thousands of days in a row, and you end up where you end up. You know, I think baseball is it's just the more you can just be the best you can each day, you know, the better things are going to go. I think that it kind of applies to everything, at least for me.
What when you're younger, let's say younger as let's say a major leaguer, and you say, "Man, I'm not thankful that I'm doing this." Right? We're all young and we lose perspective. What is the moment where maybe you said that and that you realize that ultimately that's one of the things that you're the most thankful for? You know, and I guess this would be an adversity question, right? Like this really sucks, this stinks, and everything else. Like this is the least thankful I've ever been of anything. And then you're looking back at like, man, I'm glad I did that.
I mean, I think it's just what you said. It's going through that grind where nothing's going right for days and days and days in a row, and you feel like you don't belong there. You feel like you should quit, and but then you make sometimes it's a conscious decision, is like, I'm gonna stick with this, or in my case, I'm gonna take a break. You
Mm.
know, there's not one way to do it, but um you make that decision to stick with something and choose to want to be good at that thing, even when everything's telling you that you're not. um I don't know if that answers the question,
No, it
but
does. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's
everybody faces it. I think, you know, you get kicked down, you get kicked to the ground multiple times, and you got to keep getting up, and or you don't, you move on to something else, and choose to pursue meaning or happiness in something else. So, you know, it's definitely a metaphor for life in that way.
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. Like it is a metaphor, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. And but in I know that this is big, broad conversation, big, broad, you know, that we've talked about. But I do think that this is a good time to sort of realize that because of that when we're going and we're going, whether it's in baseball or life or whatever, it's holy mackerel. Like this, for instance, look at the World Series. I mean, those Blue Jays players, they probably think I'm the least thankful of anything in my life that I went through. That's
Yeah,
right. That
I
ball
mean it.
stuck in the wall, that you know, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was super invested in that series. I didn't really care who won. That's what people always ask me, who are you pulling for? Who are you pulling for? And I'm just like, I don't really pull for teams at this point. You know, if I have a buddy on a team, I really want him to do well, or um, a coach that I had or played with or whatever. I want to see them do well and see their team have some success. But watching that series, I was like, man, both these teams deserve to win. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I, I think it's the closest thing I have to relate to what the Blue Jays went through was probably my college World Series experience going way back to 2006, where we finished runner up and lost a 3-2 game to lose the national championship. And it was heartbreaking. You went home and you're like, God, we were so close to this thing that we worked so hard for. And we may never get, I was leaving college. So I was not going to get that chance again. And it stings and it hurts for a long time. And then a few months, few years go by and you look back and you're like, dude, that was such a great experience. Like, yeah, we didn't get the ring. My name's not on the plaque, whatever, but um, you can't take that experience away. The moment is still amazing to be able to live that moment.
Yeah, when you're going, and also it's you got to remember. I remember, I saw Ernie Clement at the golf tournament in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I don't think it's something that he necessarily wanted to talk about at 8 o'clock in the morning as he's getting ready to play the most expensive golf course in the world. But so be it. I had 2 minutes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I was honestly curious. I'm like, okay, you go through the sting of it, but then how long does it take to wake up to do exactly what you do? Like, and he's like, because think about all the awesome things that lead up to that. Oh
yeah.
my goodness! Like,
Well, I mean, you look back and you're like, hey, all right, would I take the whole thing away? That experience of losing a World Series? No, you wouldn't take it away. You'd still, if you can't win it, the next best thing is to lose it, and you get to live it. Like I never got to play in a World Series and that environment, just playing what feels like such meaningful games. To share that with your teammates, your coaches, the city, the fan base, you know, even those Blue Jays guys, like even though they didn't win it, um, it may not be in baseball history like it is when you win it, but it's that, the home run by Bichette, like unbelievable. I thought I was watching that. I don't know Bo at all, but to watch him, he's clearly in a lot of pain. He's choosing to play hurt despite uh, being a few days away from free agency, knowing that might hurt his stock or make his knee worse or whatever it was, and choosing to be out there because he wanted to be a part of it and he knew he might be able to help. And then he hits that, you know, would have been the biggest home run in the series if they had won it. I just thought that was such a cool moment. He couldn't run the bases, but didn't need to when he hit the homer. So moments like that, I love it as a baseball fan, and I appreciate moments when people step into a situation that's really, really hard with so much pressure, and they're able to perform. And I know the emotions that probably went into that for him, his trainers, his coaches, his the GM who made the decision to, put him on the roster even though he's hurt, all those things. Like those are just cool moments where hard decisions, hard things happen, and it kind of works out. They didn't win the game, but that moment was cool to
well,
watch.
you said it, man. Like it's like, all right, you didn't get the engraving on the plaque. I'm paraphrasing, but like the having that if you were bounced in the first round, you never get that. Like
No,
it's hard. It's hard for that to see, but like that is, man. It's just being there. Also, Daniel, being in Toronto, like having. I remember this is gonna be very like cliche and corny, but I was walking. I had like a 40-minute walk from my hotel, which was jammed between a college bar and a fraternity house in Toronto. But it was a nice walk. I like walking from Toronto, University of Toronto. And I walked by the schoolyard, and there's like 8 kids with 2 adults, and they're dressed in Blue Jays. It was a couple hours before the game, and they're just playing baseball. They're running around playing baseball. And they're clearly playing baseball because of what's going on down the street.
Yep.
Like, and like that's the impact that it happened. Like that those kids were doing that, having this memorable moment, and they're all going to go to. If I could give them tickets, I would have given tickets, but I can't. We don't have that kind of cachet. But but they were all going to the parents or one of the adults' houses, and they're going to watch the game. They'll never forget that. They'll
No,
never forget that. So
absolutely. I mean, I grew up a Braves fan, and they won the one World Series, I think in 95 or six or whatever it was. But, I watched 15 years of Braves teams, and those guys were my heroes. They didn't win it every year. It's just like you, you don't realize how many people you're having an impact on, I think, till you get out of it or you have kids or, the only thing we have is think back to when we were kids.
mhm.
And if we grew up fans and shoot, there's great players that never played on winning teams, but they were just so fun to watch. So
Yeah, imitating batting. I can imitate batting stances of guys who never made the World Series, but I imitated their
exactly,
batting stance.
exactly.
What
So
was it?
it definitely stings for those guys, I'm sure, but I think the more time goes by, they'll realize they still did something really cool for themselves and for that city. So
Yeah. Do you when you were getting older as a player, do you remember saying or looking at players and saying, "Hey, you're not really appreciating what's going on here." Like obviously as you know the end is coming every day, like I don't, especially like when you were in Tacoma, you maybe you're like, hey, every time you stepped on the field you probably appreciated a whole lot more than you did in 2009. But do you remember looking at guys that just saying, I get that you don't appreciate it like you should, but you should appreciate it like you should.
yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing because as you get older and you're still playing, you do gain perspective on that. Hey, we're just lucky to be playing this game, or I'm lucky to be, you know, have a healthy arm, healthy body, and still get to do this. So you look at a young guy who's stressed out and he's worried about getting sent back to the minor leagues and stuff. Like, I don't blame him one bit. I was the same. Everyone's in that role at one point if you play long enough. But I think it's funny because when I got back and I was playing for the Rockies, like first year or two, I was kind of floating on cloud nine because it just truly felt like I shouldn't even be back here playing again. This is all icing on the cake. That takes a lot of stress away. But then the longer you spend back in it, the more it feels like I have to do good here. Like I have to perform. I've got to get that next contract. The icing on the cake feeling easily goes away when you're when you're in that world and it feels like every game matters and it feels like every pitch matters. It sucks you back in. The pressure does, which in a way is what makes it fun. It
Mhm.
makes it very stressful at times.
Yeah.
Um, but I would just have to constantly remind myself, like, man, just enjoy this. Like again, no matter how good you're doing right now, you shouldn't even be here in a way. So that always helped me. Just I would use it even right before going into a game. I'd be warming up in the bullpen for a save in Dodger Stadium, right? And that place is rocking, and we're up by one. I could feel you're always amped up, right? You always got butterflies in a good way, even when things are good. But you'd feel those, what if I blow this, I don't want that extra pressure starts to creep in, and I would go like, just stop, just enjoy. Like the thing I would say to myself was, how many how many of my buddies growing up, my teammates in high school, teammates in college, would give, you know, a body part, let's just say, they would cut something off to do this one time, to go into Dodger Stadium and have a chance to have a save against the Dodgers. They would give anything. I get to do this 2, 3 times a week. It's my job, like that's my job.
Mm.
Just enjoy it. And like that would literally just say, I'm so thankful that I get to do this on a regular basis. And it would just, the pressure, the anxiety would just, drop out. It's really hard to feel. I read this somewhere when I was doing the mental skills stuff. that I don't know if it's impossible, but it's very hard to feel gratitude and fear at the same time.
Mm,
So I when that you call it whatever you want, anxiety, a little bit of fear, a little bit of fear of failure starts to creep in, just think thankful thoughts. This is good because we're in Thanksgiving week right now, but
yeah.
it really does work, man. And it is very hard to feel fear and gratitude at the same time. So that's kind of a trick I use to play on my mind is overwhelm your thoughts with gratitude, things that man, I'm thankful to be in this moment. Man, I'm thankful to have teammates who trust me in this spot, you know. Um, and then you're kind of like, yeah, I already have what I need. This is just something I get to do. That
Man,
takes a lot of that feeling away.
that's well, I mean, you nailed it. Congratulations. I mean, no, that was really good. It's funny, like I'm trying to like relate it to things that I do, or like for instance, I guess the closest thing, anytime, because every job everyone complains, right? This is one thing that almost every job everybody complains about something, and I always say, remember when you were hired for that job, how happy you were. You know, this isn't making the major leagues, but just remember. I mean, remember when just out of college and you're get that minimum wage job. Hey, you're happy that you're going down the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, but oh, the gratitude over the fear, yeah, like that's awesome. Um, as a kind of quick pivot, but how is retirement been what you thought it would be? Like, and maybe this morphs into the gratitude and thanks and all that stuff. But and your story is about when you did decide to retire. I think I was really happy, Daniel, honestly, that it did get the attention that it deserved. Your story of how that happened, because I think it really resonated. As I said, you know, with Dominic, like it resonated with him. I didn't know him at all until today, and I had no idea if he would see it. And I think it permeated through the world of baseball that your story like hit home for so many. But has it been what you thought it would be?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm lucky I've been through it one other time, you know.
Oh, well,
Thought I
hey,
was,
that's it. Here's not to interrupt you, but the cliche
yeah,
question is how did it feel different?
yeah. So in 2017, I walked away from baseball and it wasn't really my choice. You know, I had been struggling for 5 years and had a young family that was growing and I needed to just make a move, you know. And I was completely burnt out by baseball at that point. You know, just didn't even have the energy to keep pushing at it. So it was a totally different feeling. And I was ready to move on because I was exhausted and burnt out by the game. Didn't even know what I was going to do. Just knew I needed and wanted to do something different. Ready for a kind of a new challenge. So that was different. You know, and it worked out. Got into a job that I didn't expect to be in, a mental skills job, and did that for a couple years and found purpose and enjoyment, you know, still in baseball, but in a completely different way. Um, so I think I grew a lot through that process. It wasn't easy every day, but you know, it was like I said, it was just finding a new challenge and something that I had purpose in. And then this time it was, you know, different. Definitely, you know, physically was starting to wear down. Elbow was coming off the surgery, felt okay. I could have kept going.
Mhm.
I think I could have gotten back to the big leagues, you know, before the year was over. But it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, and I came home for All-Star break and spent that time with my kids, and I was like, that I'm just, and I felt that time I felt pulled out of baseball rather than pushed out the first time. This was like, I still love the game. I'm still enjoying the heck out of it. It's hard right now because I'm 40 years old, but I was loving the challenge of it. But then I get home and I'm like, God, my kids they just need me home more than, you know, what I'm able to give right now. So very different to get pulled away into something else that you're probably, more passionate about, is being a dad, than getting pushed out by exhaustion. So that's been way different. And I'm probably going the same things that everybody goes through when they retire after a longer career. And you don't wake up with that clear purpose of, I need to go to the gym, I need to go to physical therapy, I got to get my throwing in, that clear, schedule for the off season. I wake up and I'm like, try to squeeze a workout in between carpool and the other things like that life calls for you. But so that's different. It's kind of nice though. Like when I was playing, the schedule, our family's life schedule, for the year and every day kind of had to revolve around me, right?
Mm.
I can't pick the kids up. I got physical therapy at this time, and um, February comes, I'm leaving for spring training. Everybody's schedule revolves around me, and now I'm revolving around everyone else's schedule for the most part, and I love it. Um, they supported me for so long. My wife Adair supported me for the 16 years we've been married. And now I'm home and able to really, you know, I'm able to revolve around their schedule, which I feel like I owe it to them. So
By the way, the image, and this was part of that when you made that decision, when you had the 7 a.m. flight and you were saying goodnight to your daughter the night before, and you had the bag, and like I just couldn't pack the bag, That's definitely like the whole like mess. There's definitely a like a theme there. Like I just couldn't pack the bag. Like I couldn't
yeah.
pack it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, and I know every guy who has a family and has to travel goes through that, Oh man, I got to do this trip again, and maybe even something you're excited about, but you still got to leave your family behind, for however long. It's never easy, and I did it 50 times in the last 5 years, with all the travel and them having to get home for school. I did it 50 times where it was hard, but I was like, I knew the right move was to pack the bags, kiss them goodbye, and we'll talk on FaceTime tomorrow or whatever. But this time it was, I was lucky to be in a position where I could make that decision, and say, not have to worry like, if I don't go, I'm not going to get that paycheck, and we can't afford that.
Mm.
I know there's people in that situation, and I've been in that situation, and it's way different. But I had the option to choose to stay home, and that's what I did.
What along the lines, I do want to ask you like a wonky WBC question, but
Yeah.
before I do that, you maybe cooked me the best chicken wings I ever had in my life, thanks to your grill.
I got
Like,
lucky. I got lucky.
no, so it leads me to I feel like there's some way that you cook a turkey for Thanksgiving that's probably elite. What,
I've cooked a couple good ones in the past. I don't want to say I've badly screwed them up, but some don't turn out as good. Turkey's tough, man. It's
you ever do the turkey, the fried,
never
the
deep fried it. I've seen too many YouTube
explosions?
videos of people catching on fire, and I'm sure, and I've had them. They taste good, but I do it on I've done it on the smoker before, smoked
Yeah,
it, and they turn out pretty good.
that's
If you
pretty
do it
good.
right, it's pretty tough to beat. So I'll stick with that. A lot less chance of third-degree burns.
Nothing. Hey, when my ancestor, Governor William Bradford, came over on the Mayflower, his intention was not for people to catch on fire cooking a turkey. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So, like I said, wonky. I'm gonna finish up with completely right hand turn,
it's a
but
good transition.
yeah, good transition. I'm
Good
a pro.
segue.
I'm a pro. Just because I told you what we are going to talk about, and I'm like, I could talk about this stuff forever, but and you're so good at, I'm so happy to talk to you, but there is like this WBC is like on my mind constantly now for some reason because I'm fascinated by it. I actually think MLB still doesn't do a good enough job promoting it, I think. And I said this to this guy, Sean Spradling, who does stuff for us. They announced like the Team USA guys on MLB Network, but that's pretty much it. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of other countries there. Anyway, what do you remember? When did you find out that you were playing on Team USA last WBC?
Well, I think it was like in December. So right around this time. I think it was like, yeah, early mid-December. I had to push hard to, I guess, get considered. I know I had my agent working on it. Um, I'd tried to get, I think I ran into somebody that was worked for the network, and I knew DeRosa was coaching. He was managing, and somebody that I talked to that worked over at MLB Network. I was like, tell him I want to play for him, tell him I want to pitch. And I think I just said it to enough people, and Mike, my agent, did a good job of making the right phone calls, and I was coming off a really good year, so that helped. I felt like I deserved to be on it. So we pushed hard and made some calls, and I think by mid-December they let me know.
What was that? Who did DeRosa let you know?
I I can't remember if it was him or like a guy named Eric Campbell who kind of runs USA Baseball. I think they both called me like in a short
But still,
period.
that must have been a good. I mean, you had a lot of great calls, a lot of great times, through that run. But that must have been pretty cool, like to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I never made an all-star team, so felt like I maybe deserved a couple,
Mm.
but it's tough as a reliever. So that was my all-star moment. That was my, hey, you belong on the select group with the big boys. And
Mm.
it took me till I was 37 years old to do it. But um, yeah, I mean, I have the one of the jerseys that we wore. We got I think it was the white jersey. I got signed by, so the USA on the chest is just filled with 35
That's
signatures,
pretty
and
cool.
it's an impressive lineup. I mean, it's probably 15 Hall of Famers on there. Mookie, Trout, Goldschmidt, Wainwright. I think some of the coaches are on there, which was like Griffey and Andy Pettit, and everybody's on there, and I'm on there. So that's a cool thing. And I didn't perform well. I mean, we've gone into that plenty of times, but I don't care. It was, like you said, the moment of being added to that roster and
Perfect, the perfect circle of life. I mean, that's exactly what
yeah,
we're talking about, right?
that's what I'm saying. It went horrible for me personally. Didn't contribute to any of the wins. But I got to experience it. I got to wear that, have my name on the back of a USA jersey, and be in a clubhouse with the best in the game for a month, leading up to it. So wouldn't trade it for the world. Um, wished I would have pitched better to contribute, but again, it was a cool experience, and again, it's a great tournament. I don't know how they can promote it better. I'm not a
Yeah, I
marketing
mean,
guy.
I'm nitpicking, but I'm just like, I just think it's like the off of what it was last time. I think that people right now are sort of consumed with free agency and the hot stove stuff and everything else. And they're like, oh, by the way, oh, this awesome tournament's coming up. And I didn't always call it an awesome tournament,
No,
Dan. And like,
it's taking time.
yeah, I was like, you're blowing out pitchers and this and that. But that leads me to my other wonky question. I remember talking to David Robertson about after it's done about that dynamic about guys getting ready because I remember back in I think it was '09, Pedroia and Euclid left
Yep.
and they both got hurt. And it was like this dynamic of go play 9 innings on artificial turf in early March, right? And obviously you have the pitcher dynamic from what Robertson was saying that guys are better prepared. They understand what it takes more. So you went through it and you also witnessed it. Do you think that it is still like a I don't know, something that's a little bit risky, or do you think that they got a much better handle at getting ready for it?
So it's a challenge. The time of year makes it a challenge. I think no matter how you slice it, especially for pitchers. I remember trying to get ready, basically you just kind of bump everything up about 2 weeks. If you normally get off the mound, start getting off the mound January 15th, now you're looking at January 1st, right?
Mm.
So for guys that pitch in the postseason the year before, like that makes a really short off season, short rest time. So I was coming off, like I said, it was I pitched well, but my elbow was not feeling great at the end of that year. So I'm basically rehabbing my elbow, not injured, but it just that uh tendon what I ended up having surgery on was just not 100%.
Mm.
But at the same time, I'm getting ready for it, not just the season, but then knowing that I've got what I felt like at that time was the biggest baseball tournament of my life, the biggest baseball stage that I was able, going to be on. So there was times where I was like, don't feel 100%. I should probably be rehabbing, maybe even starting the season, on the IL, trying to get this thing really strong so I can get through the last 5 months of the season. And instead, I'm like, nope, I got to be ready to be on my A game on March 10th, you know, um, not using spring training as a preparation. You're just like, I need to be full speed, uh, playoff mode in March, and that's tough.
Mm.
We had some guys throw really well. I'd say almost nobody was, at least the veteran guys. We had a pretty veteran bullpen, Ottavino, Brooks Raley, guys like that. I don't think anybody was at full velocity,
Mm.
despite being in a huge environment that should breed a lot of adrenaline, just like the playoffs. I think everybody was down two or three, it seemed like. Um, so it's just hard to get up to full speed that early. So um, I don't know if I answered the whole question,
No, you
but
did. I mean,
it's
it's like
it's
this
tough.
is
But at the same, I don't know a better way to do it.
no,
I
there's
think
not a better. There's no, you can't drop in the middle of the year. It is what it is. And I think that the best thing to happen is that I think that players and teams have been more cognizant about getting ready. This because I think that before it just wasn't the case, and pitchers were paying the price. I mean, they just were. Um, so
Yeah, I mean, at least my experience with the USA, the coaches they pick, they are very aware of what time of year it is. And I didn't feel like, anybody got pushed beyond what they felt like they could do. You know, It- that no one was being pushed from a pitch count perspective. I think maybe one guy went back to back, one reliever.
Mhm.
You'd have to look that up, but they said, "Hey, first round, nobody's going back to back. You pitch, the next day is off, no matter what." So in that way, they're not treating it like the playoffs. They're smart about that. I can't speak for all the other teams. For the other countries, I think they might be a little more aggressive with that, but at least for USA, I mean, what they don't want, I don't think, is the reputation of, hey, you sign up for the WBC, like we're gonna grind you
Mhm.
to win that tournament.
Yeah.
I wish they could,
Yeah.
even as a competitor, we all wanted to pitch more. Guys want to go back to back, but they're like, nope, we told your team you're not going back to back. Maybe in the championship game, we might have one or two guys available for back to back, but they're very cautious about using guys, you know, knowing what time of year it is and that you can't push guys.
Well, again, I think that I inadvertently did the circle of life thing. Like to your point, is that you had that memory, and that's what we're talking about. Like you're clearly thankful that you have that jersey on the wall, and and it was just one of the many, 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 many things that you earn the right to be thankful for. So, and you also have not had any turkey. I mean, knock on wood, no turkey cooking mishaps. So,
That's right. That's right.
yeah, yeah. By the way, and this is coming from someone who I got so much street cred in first grade from having the last name Bradford in Thanksgiving.
Oh
Which
yeah.
is which is one thing that I came across another major leaguer who I had the exact same experience with.
Chad.
Colby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like, oh, hey. He's like, oh yeah, I did that all the time. Are you kidding me? Like Thanksgiving rolled around, Bradford. Yeah, let's go. So
There you go.
that's what I'm thankful for. But I'm thankful for the most important that you came on the podcast once again. Thank you for all that you are and all that you do.
Happy to do it, man. Always good to talk.